Good morning. Oh boy, listening to the news, pretty depressing. Well, when the world doesn't even give you lemons to make lemonade, you don't have films to watch. If you've been following my website, my where I do my written reviews, howard4film.com, howardforfilm.com. I had mentioned the other day that I got a phone call from one of our local distributors to say that at the film screening of the press screening of My Spy, which was now 16 days ago, because it was 2 weeks ago Wednesday, but at the time it was 12 days before. She said that there was a woman who was there who has since tested positive for the coronavirus. And I said, where was she sitting? And it turns out she was sitting right in front of me, because I had taken a photo of my ticket, so I knew where I was sitting. So all right, well, 12 days, nothing's happened so far, but just to be on the safe side, I'll stay home. Which I'm doing anyways. So I stayed home for 2 extra days, and I'm fine. And now it's 16 days, and I'm still fine. So I guess I dodged a bullet, or maybe I was asymptomatic. I don't know. But anyhow, then the other day I got an email. Well, an email went out. I wasn't the only one who got it, but an email went out from another distributor, the distributor of Bloodshot, to say that if you went to that screening, you can't come, or please, she didn't say you can't come. She said, please don't come to our screening. So I sent her an email. I said, well, I was at that screening and I was sitting behind the woman, so okay, I won't come. So I couldn't go to that screening of Bloodshot. And then on this Sunday, I have another screening. It's for Misbehavior. They're doing screenings all weekend, and they've all been canceled. That's a different distributor altogether. So they've all been canceled. So, I'm left with nothing new to talk about because that's all I had on my list. And I don't even know about next week because I think I was going to talk about Misbehavior next week. So, what do you do when you don't even have lemons to make lemonade? You talk about what's on the streaming services because, well, everybody's at home, they're watching streaming services, so you might as well. So, I did watch a couple really good films this week that they were on my list of films that I'd wanted to see that never came to Hong Kong. And fortunately, they're available that we can watch them from the comfort of our sofa. And so the first one I'll talk about is called The Hate You Give. It's an American film, came out September. It premiered at the TIFF Film Festival, Toronto International Film Festival, September 2018. In retrospect, it's probably not the best film to watch, given what's happening in the world these days. But I liked it anyways. But it's a tough film to watch because it's about the Black Lives Matter movement in America. Now, the reason why the film never came here is because, quite frankly, Black lives don't matter here. Our distributors don't like to bring films about black people. Um, and I'll let you read into that what you will. So yeah, we even like Black Panther almost didn't come here, but it did in the end, and everybody loved it. But generally, like Fences never came here. Um, Widows, did Widows come here? I'm not sure that it did, but if it did, it didn't last very long. Yeah, so stories about African American experiences just don't come here. So that's one reason. I think probably another reason why it didn't come is because of the message that it's really about, which is the underclass standing up against the establishment. And in case you've forgotten, and certainly our government conveniently has, or now they seem to be remembering because they just arrested somebody yesterday, we were rocked by 9 months of protests against our government and our once beloved police force, which only ended because of the outbreak of the coronavirus. And everybody knows that when that ends, the protests will start back up again because the reasons haven't disappeared. Anyhow, about the movie. The story is about a young woman, a 16-year-old girl by the name of Star Carter. She's played by Amanda Stenberg. People would know her from The Hunger Games. I never saw Hunger Games, so I didn't know her from there, but she was in a pretty lousy movie about a year ago called The Darkest Minds. She was actually pretty good in the movie, but the movie was pretty awful. She lives with her family in the fictional black neighborhood of Garden Heights. There's no such place as Garden Heights, and I don't think it gives any indication. It certainly doesn't give any indication where Garden Heights is in America. Her father, Maverick, played by Russell Hornsby, people would know him from, probably best known from the TV show Grimm, but he was in Creed 2. He was in Fences, which, yeah, I think I said, never came here. He's a reformed drug dealer who now owns a nearby bodega. Her mother, Lisa, played by Regina Hall, people would know her from the Scary Movie series. She's a hospital nurse. And completing the family are the slightly older half brothers, Seven, played by Lamar Johnson. He was in the horrible movie Dark Phoenix last year. Came out earlier, yeah, came out last year. And their younger brother, Sakani, played by T.J. Wright. I think this might be his first film. I didn't know who he was, but nice looking kid. Now, as Starr tells us in a voiceover at the film's outset, their parents had big plans for the kids, so they took the kids out of the local school years earlier and placed them in the very waspy Williamson prep, or basically they're the token black kids. But they're sort of the whitish black kids. And as a result of that, Starr really has two personas. She has the ghetto version, as she calls it, and she has the Williamson version, or the white version. And these two personas just don't meet. She's compartmentalized them all. Now, one night, Starr goes to a neighborhood house party where she runs into Khalil, played by Algie Smith, and he's an old friend, childhood friend that she's lost contact with. And while Khalil is driving her home, they get stopped by a policeman and things go horribly wrong. And now Starr has to decide whether it's worth upsetting her carefully managed dual life to speak out against the injustice that happened. Now, complicating her decision is the knowledge that Khalil was working for King, played by Anthony Mackie. People would know him from the Avengers franchise. And King is the local drug dealer. He also happens to be Maverick's former partner in crime and Seven's stepfather. So a lot of things are interrelated. Now, The Hate You Give is based on the YA novel of the same name by Angie Thomas and was adapted for the screen by Audrey Wells. And she wrote a couple of films. I think she actually even directed Under the Tuscan Sun. And she wrote A Dog's Purpose, which came out, last year, 2 years ago? She sadly died the day before the film was released in the States. She died of cancer. Very sad. Now, the film's title comes from a song by Tupac. And if you don't know the lyrics, you're not familiar with the song, and I wasn't, I'll leave it for you to discover as you watch the film. But both the lyrics and the story are heartbreaking, especially when we see that hatred only begets more hatred. And if there's anything, the climax really is, quite moving. Now, if there's anything weak about the film, it's that the ending wraps up a little too neatly, but the film's heart certainly is in the right place. So, you know what? I say, okay, I'll give you a pass on that one. But other than that little thing, very solid film. Now, Stenberg is fabulous in this film here. She just lights up the screen. She's really wonderful. I'm surprised her name wasn't included in at least an honorable mentions category for top performances of 2018. She was amazing here. She's now in a new Netflix miniseries called The Eddy, apparently. I've never heard of it, but it stars Andre Holland. I love him. He was in High Flying Bird. He was in Moonlight, Selma. He was in TV shows The Nick. I'm not familiar with the show, but I'm going to have to check it out. Called The Eddy. If anybody's seen it, let me know. Equally impressive is Regina Hall, whose work to date has mostly focused on comedy, so it's nice to see her do something different, and she does it really well. The film also features Issa Rae, and whose latest film, The Lovebirds with Kumail Nanjiani, is going straight to Netflix next month. It was supposed to be released in the cinemas next week, but Paramount, I think it's Paramount, or is it? I can't remember who is it. They pulled it and it sold it to Netflix. So it might be opening. It might be available next week on Netflix. Netflix hasn't confirmed exactly when it'll be available. And the film also has Oscar winner Common, who was in Selma, and he won an Oscar for the song that he and John Legend wrote for Selma. And he plays Lisa's policeman brother, Carlos. Now, although the Black Lives Matter movement probably won't come to Hong Kong, The Hate You Give offers some interesting insights into why so many young people are taking to the streets in protest, not just in the US, but here too. So I really enjoyed this film. Very difficult to watch, especially during these sad times that we're all experiencing here. But you know what? I'd say watch it. If you haven't seen it yet, certainly check it out. The Hate You Give. And as I said, the title means something. And if you don't know the Tupac song, you'll find out what it is when you watch the film. So that's the first film I saw this week on the streaming service. The second film, my computer, I need a new computer. I uploaded or downloaded Windows 10. I had upgraded to Windows 10 a few months ago because I had to, like everybody else, and it's just like really shut down my computer. Because my computer's old, so it's not it doesn't have the power to run it. So I click on something and then I gotta wait a few seconds. And as I'm talking right now, it's churning, it's thinking, what am I gonna do? So hopefully, oh my God, this is like really slow. Okay. Oh, maybe. All right. The second film I saw this. There we go. The second film I saw this week is an Austrian film called The Tobacconist. Um, I had heard, I don't know how I heard about this film, but I had heard about it and I thought, all right, I've got to watch it. So this film, it premiered at the Hamburg Film Festival in September 2018. So it came out around the same time as The Hate You Give. It had a very limited run around the world, playing mostly at Jewish film festivals. I don't know, maybe it played at a Jewish film festival. Maybe that's how I heard about it. The story does involve a friendship between the central character and Sigmund Freud, who was Jewish. Excuse me, but I wouldn't say this is a Jewish film. This is I could give a whole lecture on this on what is a Jewish film. I wouldn't say this is a Jewish film. It is a good film, interesting story, but not a Jewish film. Anyhow, the story is about 17-year-old Franz Huchel, played by a fellow by the name of Simon, I guess Simon, not Simon, Simon Morzey. He's an Austrian actor. He's in an Austrian TV show called Fast Forward. Never heard of it. He lives a quiet existence with his mother on the Attersee, which is a lake sort of in north central Austria. After their benefactor dies unexpectedly, Franz's mother sends the boy to Vienna to apprentice at a tobacco shop owned by a man by the name of Otto Treschnik, and he's played by Johannes Krisch. People would know if he was in a film a couple years ago, which I did review, called In the Fade. He was also in a film called A Hidden Life, which I saw at the Macau Film Festival. I should really review it, but I need to see it again because it's a 3-hour film, and it's Terrence Malick's latest film, and it's fabulous. But it's long, like Terrence Malick's films are long, and there's a lot there. So I should probably watch it again and then review it because I really did enjoy it. That's called A Hidden Life. If you have 3 hours to spend. I think it was 3 hours. It was a long film at any rate. Definitely check it out, A Hidden Life. So he was in that film. And Otto Treschnik was probably another of the woman's benefactors at some point. Now there, in Vienna, Franz meets Sigmund Freud, played by the wonderful, late and wonderful, Bruno Ganz, who's perhaps best known for all the memes that are floating around for his portrayal of Hitler in the movie Downfall. If you've seen all these ones where Hitler's in the bunker and people are telling him things and he freaks out, and of course people put different English subtitles to it, and it's very funny. That's Bruno Ganz. Now, Sigmund Freud is a regular customer of the shop, and the two men, Franz and Sigmund, they strike up a very unique friendship. Now, when Franz falls in love with Anishka, who's played by Emma Drogunova, don't know who she is. She's a Bohemian immigrant he meets at a local fair. By Bohemian, I don't mean very arty, I mean somebody who comes from Bohemia. He seeks the advice of the noted psychoanalyst. Now, meanwhile, the winds of change, because it's 1937, 1938, the winds of change are blowing very swiftly across Austria, and almost overnight, Nazis are everywhere, and Franz, Otto, Sigmund Freud, Anishka, and even Franz's mother all have to make very hard choices if they're going to survive. That's what the film's about. So, I think, a lot of Jewish film festivals say that every Nazi film is a Jewish film. Every film about the Holocaust, every film about the Holocaust is a Jewish film. Holocaust films maybe so, but every Nazi film is not, in my opinion, not every Nazi film is a Jewish film. So to me, this is not a Jewish film. This is a film about Nazis. Happens to have a Jewish character, but this is a film about, it's not even a film about Nazis because that's even secondary to the relationships and to Franz's story. But anyhow, the book, the movie, The Tobacconist, is based on a 2016 book of the same name by Robert Seethaler. The book was a huge success in its original language and has since been translated into English. I actually just downloaded it the other day on my Kindle, so I haven't read it yet. I don't know. I don't know what it's like, but and how it differs from the movie. But the director Nicholas Leitner has said that he's remained fairly faithful to the book. So I'll have to take his word for it until I start reading it. What he did though, like he apparently, from what I read, we get to see some of Franz's dreams, and he's put some interesting visuals to them. Some of those dreams are quite obvious in their interpretation. Other ones left me going, not quite sure what that's about. And unfortunately, Franz and Freud, they don't discuss these dreams, so we never get to hear what Freud thinks they mean. But how, in their conversations, he does dole out some sage advice about women and love to the young man. He's never been in love before. He's probably never really been around a woman other than his mother before. So he does give out some good advice there. Now, I'd say with this film, there's solid performances all around. Everybody really excellent. Of course, Bruno Ganz, what a tremendous actor he was. What a shame he passed away. This was not his final film. It was like he did quite a few films before he passed away, right at the end of his life. So I think this is like the third or the fourth last film that he did. I'd say Leitner, the director, he did a great job recreating the apprehension of the time without resorting. This is what I really liked about this film. He didn't resort to the usual Nazi tropes that we see in so many Hollywood films. There are Nazis in this film, but it's not really part of the story. Like, it's not central to the story. So I like that. So I'd say all in all, this is a really good film, The Tobacconist. And from Austria, I'd say definitely check it out. It's available now on Netflix. And I liked it. So, you know what? This turned out to be a pretty good week for me. Even though I didn't see anything new in the cinema, and I don't even know what I'm going to do next week because I don't think, nothing's scheduled. Our cinemas are still open, but nothing is scheduled. So who knows what's going to happen next week? But we'll take it as it is. I got more films to watch on the streaming services, so I can talk about that. So have a good week. Please be safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and do all those things that Dr. Anthony Fauci is saying. Do not listen to people who tell you that this is not serious. It is very serious. Be well. See ya.